We are back.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. Okay, so my next question is, how would you complete the sentence? And I need you to give me 2 to 3 ideas.
Sure.
People should blank.
People should.
Yes.
People should give it their 100%.
Okay.
100%. Nothing short of that would be acceptable. And giving your 100% means give it everything you got. You know, there's no, don't save anything for the way back. In other words, you know, if you've got a goal and if you know that's the goal you want to achieve, you've got to give it 100%. If you're a student and you have to study for an exam, you study hard. You know, you do what you need to do. And again, going back to my children, I tell them the same thing. I would rather have you give 100% and come back with a C than give 80% and come back with a B. Because for me, it's all about the effort. The effort is what really dictates what type of person you become. And not just related to school, but in your job. Now, I understand there's days where you will come into work and you're like, oh gosh, I got to deal with another complaining patient. It happens. Let's be completely honest and realistic. That does happen. But generally speaking, when you do a job, when you do a task, you got to give it 100%. You got to be focused, and you've got to know that at the end of it all, this is what I want to accomplish. This is what I'm going to do.
I agree with you, because at the end of the day also, if you move on to something else, or if you quit your job, or if you get fired, at least you know that you gave it your 100%.
Absolutely.
You won't regret it later.
No regrets.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
The other very, very important lesson that I like to, give to my children, and going back to people should know themselves. People really should know themselves. I meet people every day. My job is very people oriented. Some days I'll meet 5 new people in a day that'll come in as patients, and I'm able to observe what makes a person tick and what doesn't make a person tick. And a lot of times people don't know themselves. In other words, if you are a people person, but your job is data entry, you're sitting in front of a computer all day and you're putting data into a computer and you're just in front of a keyboard, you're not going to be a happy individual, because that's not what makes you tick. Same way, if you really can't stand people and you have a job in customer service where you're working at, let's say, the DMV, or you're working in my job, and you don't like people, generally speaking, you're going to be miserable every day. So by knowing yourself, you'll know what you like to do. And you'll be able to match, you'll be able to put them together. And that, in my opinion, will lead to happiness. Knowing yourself and satisfaction, absolutely. And I would say the third thing, you asked me for 3 things.
2 or 3 is fine.
I'd say people should be balanced. Balance is so critical, and balance in terms of your friends, in terms of family life, in terms of your career and your work, in terms of your own self, keeping time for yourself. People should have time for their job. They should have time for their family, time for their friends, time for themselves, and the classic example, workaholics. They may excel in their career, they may be doing wonderful, but if they lack that balance where they're not spending time with their children, they're not spending time with their loved ones, with their friends, or even with themselves. And why is it so important to spend time even alone with yourself? Is that's the time when you reflect. That's the time when you introspect and you learn about yourself. People should spend enough time. The greatest minds and the greatest leaders of our, even modern times and ancient times were people who spent a lot of time on their own. Now, they didn't isolate themselves from the world completely. They didn't become ascetics and monks and lived in a cave somewhere for like 40 years without any human interaction. But these were people that belonged to a community. They served in that community, and every once in a while, they went on a sabbatical. They went somewhere where it was quiet. They went to meditate. They went to reflect. They went to introspect and to learn about themselves. In doing so, they're able to come back, and knowing more about themselves, they're able to offer a greater service to that community that they're a part of. So,
Right. My next question is, what is the purpose of your life?
very loaded question. The purpose of my life?
Yeah.
I think the purpose of my life is to acquire that balance. It's to achieve a sense of being in harmony with myself, being in harmony with my environment, being in harmony with my family, with my friends. It's achieving that balance. You'll see that guy up there. He's a little acupuncture doll up there, and this goes in lines with acupuncture and Eastern medicine, which is all about the human body's health being related to balance. You know, in Chinese medicine, which a lot of people don't know, actually had a lot of its origins in India. It's all about balance. Disease is the result of too much energy being in one part of the body and too little energy being in another part of the body. By doing things like acupuncture and manipulation, spinal manipulation, you restore that energy balance. You move that chi from high areas to low areas, and you distribute it evenly and equally. And this is how the body heals itself. So the healing force is balance. And that's why in my life and the people that I come across, I try to stress to them just how important balance is.
That's great. That's a good point, actually. I'm going to ask you just a couple more questions,
Sure,
and then we'll be
of
done.
course.
What is the best way, in your opinion, to get others to do what you want them to do?
Get them to understand.
Like in your
Educate
case, will
them.
be patience.
Absolutely. To get them to do what I want them to do, I can tell any patient, hey, Mr. Jones, I want you to go out there and I want you to walk 45 minutes a day, every other day. And compliance probably will be very low with Mr. Jones unless I explain to him the benefits of walking. When I explain to him that it's going to be getting his heart pumping, that's going to take blood to the tissues to feed them, to give them nutrients, oxygen, to give them the basic macromolecules to heal damaged tissue, and show them a model of it. Show them a video, show them something that's going to give an extra dimension to it. These patients will do better, And remember, my goal as well is to get that patient to get that motivation from themselves. In other words, I'm only going to be slightly successful if I'm just the boss and saying, go walk. When that patient knows that how good it feels and what the benefits are, and it's self-driven, compliance is going to go way up. And that's why I tell my patients a lot of times, I'll say, I only want you to walk one time this week. That's it. And they'll look at me like, all you want me to do is walk for 30 minutes one time a week? And I tell them, you know why I'm telling you that? It's because if I tell you to walk 4 times, you're going to see it as a chore. You're going to see it as I've been told that I have to walk. You walk just that one time, you're going to feel so good, you're going to do it a second time without me even telling you to do it. You're going to say, oh my gosh,
That's a nice strategy.
2 walks, I feel even better. You know what? I'm going to do a 3rd one this week. And when it's self-driven, it's going to be a longer lasting effect. If it's coming from me being a boss and telling you, hey, you got to do that, you must do this, you must do that, it's going to be short-term success because they know they're going to come in and see me next week, so they don't want to disappoint me, right? And they're going to say, oh yeah, I walked, but it's not self-driven. When it's self-driven, they're going to make that a lifelong habit.
And of course, they'll have a better positive result.
Absolutely. And ultimately, that's the goal.
Yeah.
The goal is for them to get better. It's for their health to be enhanced and to be optimized. Yeah.
My last question is, what are the 2 most important events in your life, and what did you learn from them?
I would say that the most important event of my life, or the most wonderful event of my life, was becoming a dad. That was 15 years ago, and I still remember the day like it was yesterday. And it's an incredible moment and event in one's life because you are now responsible for somebody. Your life prior to that is about you. This kind of shifts the focus and says, now my needs become secondary. And I like it because it was number one, it was a challenge. My daughter was born with colic. So again, I like those challenges. I like that upstream battle. So by having that, that created a challenge, which was great because it forced me to learn about colic, how to treat it, how to deal with a child that had colic. Also, now you have a child, you have to understand that they're mirroring everything you do. They're watching what you do. They're listening to how you speak. They are absorbing on a daily basis. They're like these little, cells that are just absorbing everything around them, and they're growing. And truly, it's an incredible thing to watch. Between age 0 and 2, the nervous system doesn't make any of those changes at any other time in life as rapidly as it does between 0 and 2. Between 0 and 2, you acquire language, you acquire locomotion, means you start moving, you start walking, you acquire personality. So it's the formative years, it's just incredible to watch and to observe. Yeah.
Well, I would like to thank you so much for doing this interview.
My pleasure, and thank you very much for doing the interview. Yeah, I'm glad.
Yes.
I'm very flattered that you chose, to use me as your, to do the interview on
you
this.
are very knowledgeable.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I always enjoy talking to you. I always feel like I learn a lot from you.
Excellent.
And I
Thank
hope
you.
that one day I will be able to be like you.
Oh, well,
and be a great leader.
you'll be better than me. That's all.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're very welcome.